So sit and be honest with yourself. What are you stuck on? What are you holding on to? And most importantly, are you even willing to loosen your grip? Welcome to Rise with Katie Marie. Think of this podcast like sitting down with a friend where we talk about healing, self-discovery, and stepping into the highest version of yourself. I'm Katie, your host and friend on this journey. Together, we'll talk about all the messy and beautiful parts of life, from heartbreak to healing, self-doubt to self-love, and everything in between. If you're looking for a cozy space to feel seen, heard, and inspired, you're in the right place. So, grab a cup of coffee, take a deep breath, and let's rise together. Welcome back to Rise with Katie Marie. Today we're going to dive into something so many of us struggle with, and that is the art of letting go. Whether it's relationships, expectations, maybe it's old versions of yourself, or just the beliefs that no longer align with who you are becoming. Honestly, letting go is one of the hardest but most powerful things you can do. So to start, I want you to take a moment right now and just ask yourself, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? Take a minute, really pause the episode if you need to, and think about that for a minute, Maybe it's a relationship that feels more like an anchor instead of a safe harbor. Could be a version of yourself that you're scared to outgrow, or a dream that you once had, but it no longer aligns with where you're going. Whatever it is, I just want you to sit with that for a second. Honestly, letting go is never easy, and we hold on because of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of regret, fear of who we're going to be without the things that we once attached ourselves to. But honestly, things aren't meant to last forever. Some things are just here to serve a purpose in our life, and then their season ends. And when you try to hold on to these things past their expiration dates, you are the only one that ends up suffering. So sit and be honest with yourself. What are you stuck on? What are you holding on to? And most importantly, are you even willing to loosen your grip? Have you ever tried to let something go? Let's just use the example of a toxic relationship or expectations or whatever. And there's a lot of grief that comes with that, and so much uncertainty, and this little tiny voice inside of you that says, what if I never find something better? Because if you have gone through heartbreak, or you've gone through any sort of letting go or release, that probably crossed your mind, am I ever going to find anything better? What if I don't find somebody as good as my last partner was? What if I don't find a job that was as fulfilling as the one that I just lost? What if the version that I'm trying to let go of myself, was the best version of me? Can I even be the person that I want to be? I remember a time when I held on to something for far too long, and not because it was good for me or even that I wanted it anymore. I only held on because it felt safe, and letting go meant stepping into the unknown. And honestly, the unknown is fucking terrifying. So yeah, if you're holding on to something just because it's familiar, it's not the same as holding on to it because it's right. And you really need to just be honest with yourself about the difference. Something that really changed my perspective on the whole concept of letting go was, if it was meant for me, it wouldn't require me to hold on so tightly, if this person is meant for you, you shouldn't have to force it. Or if that person is meant for you, you shouldn't have to wonder if they're meant for you, because you'll just know. It'll be easy. If that person's meant for you, you won't have to hold on tightly, because they're not going to waver and they're not going to go anywhere, because guess what? They're meant for you. The stronger you try to grip things, I find it actually does the opposite of what you're trying to achieve, and the more you hold on to people that have ran their course in your life or were only supposed to be here for a season, you are preventing yourself from meeting the right people or welcoming in the right experiences because you are blocking that space within yourself to let a new experience in. So at my last retreat that I hosted, we had 16 women come together, complete strangers in a house, and they just opened up and held space for each other. And it was so healing, so cathartic, so incredible, and so releasing. The weekend actually fell on, I believe it was the Scorpio new moon. And for all of my woo-woos out there, you know, that's the perfect timing to release. Scorpio new moons are literally all about releasing. And I plan to do a cord cutting ceremony on the full moon. Now, granted, we didn't actually get to it on the full moon because we were doing other things. They actually threw me a little surprise birthday party 4 months later than my actual birthday, and that's a whole other story I will save for another day. But basically, I plan to do a cord cutting ceremony with the group, and of all the events that I had planned for that weekend, that one was the most important one to me. I wanted to make sure they had that experience. I cut out a few other things that we didn't have time for because I really, really wanted them to have that experience. And because cord cutting ceremonies are something that I have personally done many times whenever I need to just release and let go of something. And honestly, it is so freeing and so emotional, and you feel so light afterwards. It's just the coolest thing. And I really wanted all the women to have that experience too, because I know so many of them walked into the house that weekend carrying so much weight, you know, the weight of motherhood or going through a divorce or, you know, a breakup, relationship, heartbreak, health problems, you name it. Like everybody had their own traumas that they were holding on to, or old connections with people in their lives, friends, family, lovers, whoever, that they just needed to let go of and start that new chapter of life. And we ended up doing it. I had them write a letter inside the home because it was pretty freaking cold out. Honestly, it was like November, so it was a little chilly. So we stayed in, sat by the fire. I had some, you know, releasing frequencies going on in the background. If you follow any of my Spotify playlists that I've been posting, you'll know I'm big on like journaling music and manifestation music and 528 hertz music, which actually heals. And I will save that for another episode. But I had some good music going in the background, really set the tone and the vibe for everybody to just sit and be present and pour their fucking hearts out into these pieces of paper. And I told them, I want you to think of something that you need to release. What is holding you back? What has that chokehold on you right now that is preventing you from moving to the next stage of your life? Where do you feel stuck? What needs to just be released? And when I tell you, we had an entire room of women sitting in silence, just crying to themselves, as heartbreaking as it is to look around and see that, I'm so glad that was happening, because that showed me that they were really immersing themselves in the experience. They were really pouring their heart and soul into this piece of paper. And they really were visualizing releasing this thing that they've been holding on to. And it was just for them. They were the only ones that read the paper. No one else read it. They just had that little moment to themselves. And then we all went outside. And I have my, cord cutting ritual that I do with them. We didn't actually, or did we cut the cords? I don't think we did. I was so sick that weekend. Sometimes parts of it is a little bit of a blur for me. I had so much cold med in me. But no, we didn't actually cut the cord this time. I've done it where I've actually cut the cord. Actually, I did a release ceremony in Italy when I went to a retreat out in Italy, and we cut the cord. But this time I actually just had them bring out their letters to the fire, and we all stood around the fire and we just, had a little moment and meditated on it and threw that letter into the fire. And it was so beautiful. It was powerful. It was a group of women that have carried burdens for far, far too long, collectively coming together and saying, I'm done with this. It is no longer my burden to carry. It's no longer my weight to carry. And especially if it's, a relationship or anything like that. It's letting go of what has had a hold on you and being able to finally set it free. And that night was very emotional. And the feedback that I got from that experience, because I was so gung-ho about doing it, and we barely had time to do it, but I made sure we squeezed it in, and everybody came up to me the next day and said, holy shit, like it drains you, because feeling all those emotions, you are on such a high of emotions. What, even if it's negative emotions, like you're on a high, right? And then you crash. So afterwards, they're feeling very heavy, but they're feeling free. Like you're feeling heavy, but light at the same time. Like light in a sense of you don't have that weight internally that you're carrying anymore, but heavy in a sense of like, my body just released and now it has to recover. So yeah, it was a very, very powerful thing. But everybody kept coming up to me the next day and they're like, that was the coolest thing I've ever done. And for people who have never done it before, it was so powerful. And I knew it would have this effect on people because I've done it myself so many times. I've done it in my house. I've done it when I went on my retreat in Italy. Like I've been doing this for years. Like that is my thing that I do when I feel like I can't let go of something, or if I'm holding on to something too long, I will literally write a letter and release it. And I'll burn the letter and I'll take the ashes and I just throw them away and, or, just dispose of them somehow. But yeah, it's a really cool experience. And if you haven't ever done a release ritual, I highly encourage you to do that. And I will be actually making a little, a little guide on how to do it and leading you through the whole ceremony. And it is a part of my course that I have. There is a chapter where we focus on doing a release ritual. So if you are looking for some guidance on doing a release ritual, I do have some things that you can actually look into and try out for yourself. But if not, I'm going to be breaking that down into its own little course eventually too. So yeah, that'll be coming. But yeah, honestly, there's just so much freedom in letting go. And when you finally release what's been weighing you down, you create space. And from my experience, any point in my life when I had to let something go, whether it was a job that was no longer serving me, a friendship that had ran its course, a relationship that was going nowhere, without failure, every time I have released something that I thought I couldn't live without, something even better has come along. And time again, I'll sit there and be like, I don't think I'm ever going to find anything as good as this. I'm never going to have this again, blah, 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 blah. Every single thing has been 100 times better than what I let go of. So you are clearing space for what needs to come into your world. And if you're feeling that energetic pull that you are being weighed down by something, that is the universe or spirit or God, whatever you believe in, that is telling you that you need to let it go because something is trying to come in. And your spirit knows and your soul knows, but your mind has to catch up to it. So yeah, honestly, if you are holding on to anything, please just let it go. Even if you don't do the letter burning ritual or a release ceremony or anything like that, just try your best to let it go, because it's going to create so much space for new opportunities and new connections and honestly, a new you above all. Just think about it. Think about all the times in your life when you finally let go of something that was holding you back. The relief that you felt, the lightness, and like just the way you suddenly had room to breathe again, So the next version of yourself is waiting for you, but you can't get there until you give her space to exist. And this is your permission to let go of that thing you've been holding on to for way too long. And so with that being said, we're going to wrap up today's episode with a couple questions that I want to leave for you to just reflect on. Maybe you can journal these out if you're a journaler, or just sit and pause and really think about it. But the first one is, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? Second question is, what is my biggest fear about letting it go? Third, what might be possible for me if I finally release this? And fourth, what is one step I can take today to loosen my grip? So take that as you will. Do what you need to with those kind of questions, but that's your little homework for today, I guess. It's just reflect. Reflect on what you can let go of this year. That will create so much space for better things to come into your world. I promise you, from the depths of my soul, from somebody who's walked this path many, many, many times, what's waiting for you is going to blow you away. And you're going to wonder why you did not release these things earlier, because what comes afterwards is so worth it tenfold. If you made it to the end of this episode, thank you for being here, and thank you for putting yourself and your healing journey first. It's an honor to walk this path with you and to be a catalyst on your healing journey. If this short episode resonated with you, I have lots more to come. I would love for you to follow along, and please subscribe before you head out so you don't miss the next one. Until then, keep pouring love into yourself, and this is your permission to let that shit go. I will see you in the next episode.